Welcome to Pesto Comics Audio Edition. This is the entry for September 11th, 2024. Pumpkin Spice season. It's about comics, I swear. It's been a while since we've done an entry that isn't selling something, reviewing a campaign, or a weekend at a con. This week, let's talk about that time of year where pumpkin spice everything is around. Believe it or not, it's a good segue into an interesting strategy for marketing comics. But before we get into it, I really want to speak about one more thing. 2 weeks left for From Parts Unknown #1. Full disclosure, it's not going anywhere after this campaign, of course. From Parts Unknown 2 will likely be coming out sometime very soon and have this included in a bundle. I'm aiming for around January. However, it's important that the first issue does well for the second to come out, and the third and the fourth and the fifth. So if you haven't checked it out yet, there's still a lot of time to do so. I'll be forever grateful, and I'll make sure you get the best comic I can possibly give you in your hands, or digitally. And now, let's talk about how pumpkin spice lattes and comics have things in common. The seasonality of comic books. Comics are very seasonal. It may not feel like it, because most of the time the stories are told in a constant middle act. There is very rarely a beginning, and even rarer an end. That said, they always try to manufacture something like that. In less than a month, we'll have the new absolute DC universe. This is coming off the heels of a reboot of the Ultimate Universe at Marvel. And it's not just the big two. Image rebooted the Hasbro books with their new Energon universe. Spawn, although ongoing, has had kind of a resurgence as well. And even Saga, which is technically one long story, had a bit of a reboot with its return. And it's not just the reboots of universes, but the reboots of characters within a line itself. It's happening so frequently that you can almost expect a new #1 every single week on the shelves. Everything I'm saying here is nothing new to anyone who's picked up a comic. However, unlike pumpkin spice lattes, I think that's actually hurting comics. Why is that? Pumpkin spice lattes go away. I'm not saying that comic books should go away at all. I think it would actually be devastating, to be honest. What I'm saying is, the reason that it works for pumpkin spice lattes and it doesn't work for comics is because we never really have an opportunity to miss comics. With every reboot, every new and bold direction, we're just seeing another chapter of what we've seen a month ago. Sometimes characters die and even stay dead for a little while before eventually coming back. And any well-trodden comic reader will tell you that they expect that. But if they're trying the same thing and not getting the same result, what's the difference? Commitment. They don't sell pumpkin spice lattes in April. Arguably, if they did, they could make a lot of money doing so, for a while. Then the novelty wears off, knowing that you can get it any time of year. It'll be the same pumpkin spice latte that you can get any time. Where's the fun in that? This changes everything. Every event sets up another event. And don't get me wrong, I love my event books. But when they feel like a prelude to another event that was a prelude to this one, it just starts getting very taxing. There need to be stakes. And yes, we know all these characters are elastic, and they're going to come right back to where they were to begin with, but it needs to feel like we're getting somewhere. Event comics are supposed to be like what WrestleMania is to wrestling. It's a summation of a year of storytelling. Although it does push into the new year of storytelling, it's still focused on ending everything that led up to it right then and there. Everything that happens beyond that weekend is something new and at least a little bit different than what we saw the year prior, of course with some exceptions. So, how do we replicate this for comics? Put things on the shelf. Shelving IP is something that seems totally ludicrous. However, we've seen it work. What happened when DC did their big experiment with the New 52? Everyone was clamoring for the original characters. Why? Because they were gone entirely. I'm not recommending that we live through something like that every few years either. That in itself will get old. But what I'm saying is the ability to shelve the classic version of characters and then bring them all back 5 years later was a huge move. DC Rebirth was effectively what pumpkin spice lattes are. The same thing happened with the new Ultimate Spider-Man, who wasn't upset when they broke up Mary Jane and Peter in One More Day. The complaints have been incessant. However you feel about that, the fact that Marvel actually stuck to it is terribly impressive. Would anyone care about another book where Peter and Mary Jane are together if they were never apart to begin with? Maybe they have Mayday now, but it's more or less what you would see in Amazing Spider-Man with some remixed villains. Does that sell like Ultimate Spider-Man did? Absolutely not. It's the absence that made it popular. And back to DC, I'm not saying we need to shelve the Trinity for another few years. They just tried that with Justice League, and I think because of that, Justice League International will do really well. And again, you can't keep going back to the well with the same idea. They need to stick around for a while yet so that we'll want to miss them. Okay, so if that's not the answer, then what is? Maybe thinking about ways to really raise the stakes, to make things a little different from the last time. It's not just about killing characters either. It's changing situations and status quos. It's about giving us new and different writers with new stories to tell before bringing back the big time writers. See Mark Waid. You can argue they're doing all of this and it's still not working, and that's fair. Comparing comics to lattes was always going to have its limitations. It doesn't mean there's nothing to learn. And until next Wednesday, enjoy your pumpkin spice lattes. So, what's coming up next? September 18th, you can take the kid at a film school. My history with the Toronto International Film Festival. And September 25th, to the Hammer and back again, tabling at Hamilton Comic Con. And October 2nd, Postmortem from Parts Unknown, an in-depth look at the 4th Pesto Comics campaign. And as always, I want to thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, just a little over a week and a bit left in the From Parts Unknown campaign. So please, please, please give it a look. I really do appreciate your backing it. It's really about launching strong and getting the series out there. As I mentioned, it's going to be available beyond this campaign, but supporting it right at the front really does help us make sure that the rest of the series does happen to see the light of day. So it's pivotal that we get your support. I really do appreciate it. And as always, I thank you for listening. We have so much going on, and I can't wait to share everything with you. I really do appreciate your time. And until next time, have a good one.